Hey, and welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to look at something a little different, but for Twinmotion. If you're familiar with the term Quixel or Megascan, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm really excited to share this with you because when I discovered this for myself recently, I was so excited. So Quixel owns Megascans. They work with Quixel Mixer and Quixel Bridge. You're going to hear all of those things. That I'm going to say that quite a lot moving forward in this video and in others, because Quixel and what it is. So Megascans, that is everything that Quixel does. They basically go around the world scanning, 3D scanning through using lasers, everything to digitize assets in the world, like real world assets. So this is great. This company has existed for a while, but what makes this video relevant and the reason why I'm doing this at all is that as of recently, Unreal has purchased Quixel, and they're now falling under the umbrella of Epic Games, which is wonderful. So not only that, but we have access to this within Twinmotion, and this is all free, 100% free. And it's really stupid, the fact that this is all free. And as you see me in this video going through all the assets and materials and everything that we can use and import into Twinmotion, you're going to think this is insane because it's free. You don't have to pay anything. Of course, if you're not affiliated with Twinmotion, you can still use all this. You will have to pay for the assets, but I have Twinmotion, and this is free within Epic Games. Like, it's really simple. So just go to Quixel.com. You can download all three of these products, Megascans, Bridge, and Mixer. We're only concerned about Bridge for now, especially in this video. This is what I'm really covering. I'll cover the others soon, but there's not a whole lot that's different because of what you'll see in this video and how it works. So you'll want to go and log in. I've already logged in, and you'll want to use your Epic Games account because that will allow you to access all of this for free. And it's kind of crazy, just what it is. So I'm going to open Bridge here. And because I've already got it downloaded, I'm already logged in and everything. You can see that, it is all the assets that you might want. And you can see that currently they're at almost 14,000 assets, which is insane. But some little housekeeping that we want to do before we set this up, because there's a lot that's going on. And if you start just willy-nilly downloading this and that, that's great. But you want to know where they're going and what's happening. So if you come up here to set, edit, and then settings, this is what we want to be aware of. If you are using a particular engine, and now Twinmotion is not considered an engine at this point, and it's not going to fall under these, but if you're using any of these, then definitely select them because it will cater the downloads to that particular engine, which is great. But what we're concerned about here is the local library path, because this is where all of your assets will essentially live. Now, I have different drives, and I want to have all of these assets in a particular location. So I've just put them on my H drive in a folder called assets. So they'll all be there, it's nice to know that. And so please do this before. And my guess is you'll be prompted to do this at some point when you're starting Quixel up. And so we can close this, and now we could just start downloading to our heart's desire. Now, this video really is going to be me finding an object or two and showing you what it's like to take it from Quixel Bridge and then putting it into Twinmotion. So the idea with Quixel Bridge is that you have all of these assets that you have access to, and it's literally just an asset library. And from there, you can download them and then place them into Twinmotion really easily. So that's what Quixel Bridge is. You've got the other products here that are, Megascan and Mixer. Mixer is really more towards custom materials. Of course, you can download materials, but it's like making additional edits to those materials, which I'll save for another video. A lot of times I'm not going to find myself needing to use that because I do want a more pristine looking material, and you'll be surprised how many materials that Quixel already has. And of course, the Megascans, I can, if you want to look for a particular plant or anything like that, they're going to have it there because they have so many. But with Bridge, we can access all of those from here. We're in Bridge, and we have access to all these different assets. And because I'm in Bridge, I can just simply download them from here and bridge it or take it to Twinmotion. There's no direct integration yet, which is unfortunate, but I know the way Twinmotion is working and the fact that we have so many different features coming all the time that we're going to have some sort of integration, just like we see here with all these different engines. We're going to have Twinmotion here very soon, and hopefully more of a direct link where we can just kind of click a button and have these things appear within Twinmotion. So we're not there yet. So that's why I want to do this video and show you how we can go through things. So maybe I want a fireplace. I'm just going to search fireplace and see what we get. We've got all these different things. Of course, we've got 3D assets. We've got different surfaces, which whenever you see surfaces, just know that those are materials or textures, or whatever you want to call them. And we can see that, there's all kinds of different things here. I just searched fireplace, and we get firewood. We get different ash materials. There's a lot of different things here. But, maybe I want to take this fireplace. And this is a very detailed looking fireplace. There's a lot going on here. The nice thing is it's taking care of all the textures for you. Whenever I hit download, I'm going to get not only the model, but the textures too. So it's awesome. I don't have to do anything with that. I can look at all the maps here, and you can see they're all stripped perfectly to where it's taking into account the fact that there's a 3D model that you need to worry about, but you don't have to do anything else. I can see it and view it in 3D. And then once this is loaded, I can see that, that is really good. That is some high quality stuff. And, I can even look at each material type here, the normal map. I can look at all these things separately. And, if I wanted to look at this as a full screen, I can, of course, do that too. And view it all. It really is some nice stuff. And so the fact that this is free again is amazing. So I'm going to hit download. And what's going to happen is you're going to say that it's going to see that it's purchased, which is great. I didn't purchase anything, but the fact that it is purchased, which means it's now a part of my library. You can see that it says it's extracting. That's great. And from here, I've got a couple of options. I can re-download, which I don't really need to, or I can export it. That's cool. But I wanted to direct you over here to the left where you've got this little computer icon, which is local. And by local, it means it's literally yours. It's yours. You've downloaded it basically. And the green check mark says that you've downloaded it. I've gone through and downloaded all these different materials because I like them. They look good. I might want to access them later. And I could even go as far as favorite this particular model. And I can see if I go to my favorites, there's my favorite. That's my only favorite. I'll probably unfavorite that just so I don't clutter it up with a bunch of favorites. But this is great. I can come here. And so at this point, you don't have to come here to export it, but we can choose to come here and export any model that we want. So at this point, yes, I am going to export it. But before I export it, I do want to show you a couple different things here. We've got download settings. Now I know I just downloaded it, so that has I might need to re-download it, which is a great reason why I could do here. So the texture resolution, 8K, that's giant. Now I don't necessarily need that, so I can go to 4K and I can feel just fine about that. For most things, especially textures, I am happy to go with 4K. And if this were a small plan or something, I'd say you could go down to 2K. The idea is that we don't want to just import these giant files and bog down a Twinmotion model. So here's our material preset, and this is set to custom. Now this, again, this is something that will likely be populated or have another option once Twinmotion is more integrated within Quixel itself and Bridge. So right now it's set to custom. But if I were taking this to Unreal or Unity, I would definitely want to have this particular thing set because it'll basically say, oh, well, you're using this program, so I need to export all these different material maps for you just so you don't have too many and make sure that you're not missing some. And of course, the mesh format, FBX, OBJ, ABC, I would keep FBX. I've had the most luck with FBX. That's just me. But if you're taking this into another program, maybe there's a reason why you might want to use OBJ. But I've had great success using FBX files within Twinmotion. So and then we finally see here, there's even more settings, which, this is kind of important, and it definitely can be important. But this is just for this particular model. And I'll show you how we can streamline this better in a little bit. But LOD is level of detail. And you can see that we've got this giant number and then tris is actually triangles. And so these are considered faces of geometry. And you could clearly see the difference between LOD 0 and then 5. A lot of times you'll see this range from LOD 0 to 5, maybe goes from 0 to 3, whatever. But the idea is that the lower the number, the higher amount of faces, the higher detail, the larger the file. So those are things to be aware of. And, when I click download, or again, in this case, re-download, I'm going to download every single LOD. So basically 6 versions of this one single model at different levels of detail. That's nice. Maybe you want that, but I don't. I really don't. And I can't say I have a great reason of needing the most highly detailed model. Maybe I want it, but like I'm probably fine with LOD 2 or 3 in this, but it's kind of up to you. It might look terrible. Who knows? But this is something to be aware of too. Like maybe you need this to look great. Maybe this is the centerpiece of everything. Then just put it at LOD 0 and just download it there. That's great. You might want to choose multiple of these. If you want to be able to use all of these as options, these are great. If you want multiple albedos, or if you use any of these, or if you want this to be a brush, that's something that you could use for something later on. Or if you want a high polygon source, I have never really needed to deal with any of these options. I've just simply chosen my level of detail or multiple levels of detail and then downloaded. And now this is where it would be nice to know what a PBR material or physically based material is. And I've got previous videos on that. So please go check that out. You can find those on my channel, of course. But knowing what your program needs, in this case, we're looking directly at Twinmotion. What do we need? Well, we need an albedo, which is a color map. It's a diffuse. It's the most basic thing you're going to need. So albedo, that's great. We need that, of course. Now, I definitely want a normal map because that's going to give us our height. It's going to give us our displacement that we want. Of course, there's also a displacement map, which, maybe you want it, maybe you don't want it. If we're using it for a different program, then you probably want it. But okay, roughness I want. Because I'm not using gloss, spec gloss or specular or gloss, I'm using a physically based render material. I want my normal. I don't want a gloss or specular. I don't want any of that. But again, you're welcome to always include these if you want. You have all these different options of different maps, which is really great. And so I probably want to redown those because I want to override what I had, which is literally everything. And I want what I want. So at this point, that's what I get. But as scrolling to the bottom, I can see global download settings. And you're probably like, what the heck was all that? I want to just set this globally and move on. So let's choose global download settings, which is really nice. This is really, really nice. This is going to save you a lot of time. This is going to be useful 90% of the time. So you can see that it's going to take the settings that I chose for this model. Just as an example, it's going to use this one because that's what I used. But you can go to these global settings in any model, and it will take that by default. But if you look at the global download settings, again, I can see that I've got my 4K texture resolution, my custom material preset, doesn't matter right now so much. I've got my FBX format, perfect. And I've got all the different material types that I might need. Of course, I've got opacity now included. I've got metalness now included. All of these, which we didn't have before, but because it's global settings, it's like, well, if the model has it, then I want to make sure that I have it. And so looking here, I need to decide what material maps do I need for Twinmotion. Well, I wish I could use an ambient occlusion, but I can't. So let's go ahead and just uncheck that. Displacement, maybe you want to keep that, maybe you don't. That's kind of up to you. I definitely want a metalness. I definitely want a normal map. I definitely want an opacity map if I need to apply that for certain materials. Translucency, you can keep that or not. I'm not necessarily sold on that, but I'm going to keep it for now because I just want to be able to have it. And then finally over here, we could see, all right, we've got more levels of detail. So, maybe you're the type of person who has plenty of hard drive space and you're like, I always want the highest quality. Okay. But if I do that, I'm probably not going to always want the highest quality for every single model. I might want to download it, but I may not want to put it in my Twinmotion project. So that's where I might go to 2 or 3. Like I said, I've seen 3, I've seen 5, and of course I've seen 8 being the last option here as the lowest quality. So, maybe you don't want the lowest quality all the time, so you choose LOD2. So that's great. I'm happy with this. And these are global settings, and this is for 3D models. This is only for 3D models. So that's just also something to be aware of. As soon as I go to 3D vegetation, we're going to go through the exact same thing, which, that's fine. Again, our vegetation is probably going to be a lot smaller because I'm probably happy with most of the Twinmotion trees and the way they work. Downloading trees from Quixel would be a lot different in how they work. They're not going to work like Twinmotion trees. And so if that's the case, I probably just want small plants. So I'm happy enough with a 2K texture resolution and, a lower quality LOD, and then, just the maps that I need. Great. And same as all these different types, you can go through everything you need. The last thing I would say that's most important for me is surfaces, which are materials, because I'm going to primarily use Quixel for surfaces and specific 3D models. So the texture resolution, I've set at 4K because I want that at least. I don't want 2K if I have a large texture covering a large space, but I don't want to go as high as 8. There might be a reason that I need to, which I would go back and download. And so again, with the material preset, you can set it to custom, or if you're using any of these specific programs, do that. But here's all the different maps that I might need. Of course, I don't need the ambient occlusion. I don't necessarily want the bump map because I want a normal map. I don't necessarily want fuzz. Normal, bump, that's putting them together, which I'm just happy enough with the normal map. Roughness, that's great. Thickness, translucency. I'll go ahead and give myself translucency. But besides that, I want to make sure I have everything I need. If for some reason that I need a fuzz file or a mask file, any of these, I'm going to go and for that material specifically change these settings, because these settings are going to be populated into our default settings for wanting to download an object. So if I go to a surface now, which is, this is a surface, I can come down here and I can see it. These are all of the maps that I said that I wanted at 4K and everything. It's going to take all of that from my global settings. And if I want to, I realize this particular model has opacity, I want to include opacity, great. Well, maybe I also want to include cavity or gloss. I don't know that I'd ever want to do that, but if I needed a different one, I can, based on what I have access to for that surface, I can just add it. It's not going to update my global settings or anything like that. I will need to re-download it, which is great that they have a button here for it, but that's good. So with all that said, we've looked at our default settings, our global settings for downloading and using them. So let's go ahead and export this. And now you might realize export is actually trying to export it to Mixer, which whether you have Mixer or not is not a big deal, but we actually downloaded this already. We don't need to export this as well. Now, my guess is that whenever Twinmotion is integrated within Quixel more and more directly, that exporting will actually dump it into Twinmotion, or there'll be some other option that we can do that. So I'm going to actually locate this file for you in my assets folder and show you and see what all files are included with it. So I'm in my H drive and then my assets, and I can see that I've got custom, I've got downloaded, I've got mixes and all of this. And so these are where your assets will live. So I'm going to choose downloaded. And the nice thing is I'm going to see the different types again that we saw. We've got 3D assets or 3D plant, brush, surface, whatever. And so I'm going to just go to 3D, and we can see there's my antique architecture. And, we can't quite see what this is, but let's go ahead and open one of these previews, and we can see, there it is. That is a preview of it. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And that's the model that I need. So all of these files, this is a lot of information, and it looks like a lot, but what we're concerned about are these FBX files. Again, I have all of them here, which is not necessarily a big deal because I downloaded it once with all of them. Re-downloading doesn't remove what I had already. That's fine. But what we want to be aware of is that we have the FBX files, and that's what we're worried about, because these are what we need to import into Twinmotion. So let's go to Twinmotion. Just a blank scene here, nothing special here. I have nothing at all, but we're going to import this. And I'm going to import geometry. I will open this, and I want to make sure I'm going to that same location, or I'm going to my H drive, and then assets, and then downloaded 3D assets, and there it is. And now here I have all of these different LODs to choose from. And honestly, I would definitely look at the file size before you download it, because 84 kilobytes it rounds down to nothing. And then 932 kilobytes, basically a meg, is more or less nothing. At least in my book, it's not all that much, and it wouldn't bog down. So I'm going to put in LOD 0. I'm going to import that. Okay. I want to make sure to fix UVs and textures, make sure that Z is up. These are things you might have to change depending on the model, but keeping these at default is probably good. I don't want to collapse this by material. I want to keep the hierarchy, but because it's a single object, shouldn't matter all that much because it's just going to come in as one object. So we'll hit OK. It's going to be processed and we're going to find it, hopefully. But if I can't find it, I can always come over here to my graph. I can click this and then hit F, and I'll go directly to the object. And then, I mean, tell you what, that looks pretty great. Now, you might notice that we're missing something, which is clearly the materials. And, how do we deal with that? Well, there's a pretty easy way to do that. I can come to my material picker. I can pick the material. And, of course, we're going to get a default material here, which is not a big deal. But what I want to do is start to change some of these settings here, because I didn't actually get my material to come with it. Like all my maps, nothing came with it. So it's just simply applying the maps that came with it to this object. And if you've seen my previous video on making custom materials in Twinmotion, it's the exact same thing, but you don't have to make the material. It's already downloaded and it's in the same folder. So it's just applying them. So let's go ahead and do that. So instead of just using this material, I'll rename this to fireplace, because I want to keep these named. I want it to make sense. So I'm going to go to my color map, hit more, and you'll see my texture is currently empty. So let's go to open. And again, we're going to need to go to the same location in my assets, which is really nice that it's all in the same place. I'll go to my downloaded and then 3D and then finally there. And lo and behold, we can see all of our textures here, which is perfect. So we're going for our albedo, and you can see I've got 8K, which is, that's fine. I don't need to worry about that, but I've also got 4K. It doesn't matter for this because it's so small. So I'll choose my 8K right there. And as soon as I place this in, it will take a second to load it up. And once this is loaded in, we could hopefully finally see that, hey, there we go. We've got the albedo, like it's a color. It's great. Thing to be aware of too is that if you have this color set to anything other than white, it's going to affect what this looks like. So in this case, I don't have white because I don't see a bunch of Fs there. So once I put this on white, you can see that it does actually affect what we're looking at. So make sure that you have this color set to white if you've imported your own material, because it will start to alter it. You can see that I don't want a tint on this. I want this to be literally the values that were from that particular map itself. So hit OK. There we go. This is starting to look good. I don't necessarily think it looks perfect. If we compare it to Bridge, it's not exactly what I want it to be because, there's a lot more that's going on, but we have other maps to apply. That's the thing. So let's go to more settings, and I've got bump. And then I want to change this again to my normal map, and I'll go ahead and change that to 8K. That's fine. And as soon as I add this in, we could see that once it loads up, we're going to start to see a lot more detail out of this model, which is going to look really good. So there we go. Like that is something else. That looks really good. Just out of the box, very simple. And finally, what other maps do I have? I have plenty to choose from. I don't necessarily think that I need to use them all, but I've got a lot that I could choose. So if we want to look at them, we can go to our large icons, and we've got, of course, our displacement. We've got our roughness, all of that. That's nice. We might want to use some of those, which is good. I've got metalness, which if you happen to have metal, great. I don't necessarily have metal in this, but 9 times out of 10, that's kind of all you're going to need to do. Like that's essentially everything that you really need to do. But it looks good. Like I didn't have to go through all that much to get this model to look really good really quickly. And this acts like any other object. I can move this around where I want. I can place this on the ground. Like I can put a fire in there. If we want to get cute with it, I can always do that. But my gosh, that was so simple to look so good. And I didn't have to try that hard to to make this look good. It is what it is. Like it's that simple. So I've done this with an object. I want to do the same thing with a material. Of course, it's going to be even easier because come on, we just did the same thing with an object, but I want to show you. I'm going to go ahead and place just a primitive object here and put that there. And we'll go back to Quixel, download a surface or a material, and we will then come back in here. So if we want to go home, we could see all the different types of surfaces that we have. Clicking by home and surfaces, I'll close this preview. And guys, you can search for absolutely everything. There's anything and everything that you might want. Like snow, come on. Stones, all of this. Like I don't really know what to search for because there's all kinds of things. I can limit the size. I can put it to where it's all new because like I'm working in architecture, so I want this to look new and nice. I can have these for specific environments, or maybe I don't really care what it is. I just want something green. I mean, it's really great. And of course I can clear this. I don't, I can look at all colors again, but some of these look really awesome, really great. Maybe we look at granite. Of course, granite always kind of looks pretty good because, come on, it's a reflective granite. These all look really great. Any of these would look awesome, but I'm probably going to look for more of a tile. So I can even continue I like all that, but let's go ahead and include tile. I mean, these look so good. So how about this? This is nice. It looks really good. Again, I've got my download settings. These are all things that I've set before in the global settings. It's going to pull everything that I might need. And this looks really good. I've got different previews here. Looks nice. Of course, I can see all the different types of material maps that I'm going to get. And of course, in 3D, I can blow this up and see that looks so good. And the effort that I have to go through to do this is like nothing. So I'm just going to download this. And we can see it says purchased. And I'll go to my local and I can see that it will populate here as soon as it's been downloaded. Go back to my local and we can see there we go. There it is. Now, if I export this will take me to Mixer, which I don't really need to do that because I've already downloaded it. So I need to literally just come back to Twinmotion. It's that simple. So I'll make a new material. Again, we always want to rename this. So I want to, granite tile. That's fine. Granite tile, very simple. So again, make sure this is white. By default, it's white. That looks good. So let's go to more. I want to make sure that I open this up and then go to 3D, go to my assets. And this, it actually will not be within 3D anymore. It will be within Surface. So I've got Surface here, and these are all others that I've downloaded, but I've got, there it is, my stone granite. I would probably just sort by date modified, and there it is. There's today's date, stone granite, and then I've got everything that I need. I mean, guys, come on, this looks so good and so easy. So let's just go ahead and place this here. Very simple. Once this loads up, I should see this, and I'll have all the options that I have with any other material. I can change the scale or do anything that I want, and it should look pretty good. Now, of course, I haven't applied the material to, so let's just drag this to the material and look at that. That looks really good. Now the scale looks, I hesitate to say out of whack, but it's much too large. So let's go ahead and change the scale to, half the size. That's closer. Maybe it's 0.4, whatever. But again, that's looking really good, and it didn't really take much at all. Let's go ahead and get on the ground so we can see what this looks like up close. And, it's not bad, but we're not done yet. We need to go ahead and make sure we have the bump map. Let's go ahead and add our bump map in. We'll open this and we'll put in our normal map. Okay, we can see we have a little more definition there, and the seams especially looks really good, but we need to worry about the fact that we need some reflections. Of course we do. So we've got our reflections, and then I will open, and we're going to put our roughness map in, which will be right here. And again, always remember that by default, our reflection is, this will be 0. But if you want to actually take the reflection values from the roughness map that you just imported in, you need to set the reflection to 50. And there we go. We've got the reflections that show up in our roughness map by default, which does look really good. There's nice reflections here. Looks pretty good. The effort that I had to go through, again, was basically nothing. It was not bad at all. And, honestly, looks really good. Changing the time of day, we can see that this will impact both models and materials all the same. And I mean, looks really great. Both of these look really great. It was not hard to do this at all. And you could take this farther if you want. If it were a metal, obviously you add your metal, but guys, it was really easy to be able to get this to look good. But really, the fact that it was free from Quixel, you have access to 14,000 assets. It's all stupid. It's all great. Please use it, and be familiar with using it. And really, I could take this even farther and decide, maybe you're the only person in your office who's going to use Quixel because no one else wants to touch that. Well, I can come in here and I can take this entire folder, this entire material, this entire model, and I can decide, well, let's just add this to my user library. Now, if you've mapped that to a network location, everyone's going to have access to it, and they can just dump it into their Twinmotion model whenever they want. So I did end up adding this folder to my user library. I will say it did take a hot minute because it's, the size of the file, just makes sense. Let's go ahead and drag this in. We can see we've got the preview there. And because of the size, that's just, the way it is. Now, I can't say that I know why it comes in sideways, but, nonetheless, we can always do that. And it happens to be that these are one-sided, but let's go into our material and see if we can make this a two-sided material. And that actually does not have an impact, but it's based on how it's viewed. So obviously you want this butted up against a wall, which it seemed to make sense. So you might put this over here against the wall, rotate this 180, and then there we go. Like, it's sitting up against the wall. That makes sense. Makes a little more sense anyway. So like that was simple. We took this model from Quixel for free. We added the textures from Quixel for free. We added this to our user library, and then everyone else who has access to that can just load it in. Very simple. I would always do that. It seems so simple to do and very easy to share, and like the quality is just amazing. So that will do it for this video. I will always be back with more videos, especially with Quixel. My gosh, there's a lot that we can look at with Quixel because it's exciting, and please use it because it's just going to become more integrated within Twinmotion here in the near future, at least I hope. I did actually want to bring this up because I just happened to look while making this video, but if you look at the Twinmotion public roadmap and the in progress tab, I always knew that we were going to get that import Twinmotion projects into Unreal Engine. I knew that was coming, but since Quixel was acquired by Epic Games, I could see integration with Quixel Megascans. It's already in progress, and it's something we're going to get. So please just download Quixel and familiarize with it, because get familiar with it. It's going to really matter a lot more. And the fact that we're going to get direct integration with Twinmotion is going to be awesome. It's going to be great. So you can just get familiar with it in the meantime. But it's just nice to know that this is coming for sure. And you can always come in here and vote if you need to. But, obviously it's coming. But I would definitely consider coming over to the under consideration tab and voting for all of these that you definitely want. I love voting for these, especially if you really need something. V-Ray materials, that's cool. But anything in progress, it's nice to know that Quixel Megascans will be directly integrated. So wanted to point this out to you. Again, I'm really excited for that in the near future. So again, that'll do it for this video. If you happen to learn something, demolish that like button. That helps me out. Also, consider subscribing. I sure hope you have a wonderful day. If you'd stuck around this long in the video, thank you very much. But again, have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.